Chosen one, untruth wilts in certain climates. It prefers stale air and fast talking, dim corners and short breaths. You do not provide these conditions. The atmosphere you carry makes lying feel like a sweater in August, possible but unbearable. You do not interrogate, and yet confession begins to travel toward you like water toward lower ground. This is not because you are terrifying, it is because you are coherent. Your sexual energy, disciplined and dignified, does not hire manipulation to do the work of magnetism. It lets honesty do the heavy lifting. And honesty, sensing a safe commute, shows up on time. The first lie to die in your presence is the lie you once told yourself, that performance is the price of belonging. You stopped paying that tax. You chose worth over worthiness, being over branding, repairs over excuses. You practiced telling yourself the small, plain truth before the big, glamorous one arrived dressed for attention. You looked in the mirror without weaponizing the gaze. You forgave yesterday without turning it into a shrine. You refused to call avoidance wisdom or haste courage. Having made peace with yourself in this way, you no longer need the room to provide anesthesia. Without that demand, pressure evaporates, and where pressure evaporates, pretense cannot find oxygen. People sense the difference in the way you listen. You are not collecting material. You are not waiting for your turn to perform empathy while hoarding the spotlight. Your eyes do not try to edit the speaker into a better story for your myth. They attend. They bless. They refrain from rescue when dignity needs the workout of articulation. In such listening, a boast shrinks to its proper size without humiliation. A grievance remembers the human on the other end, and a secret decides that darkness is too expensive. Truth begins to prefer your company. Your boundaries protect this preference. You refuse to reward manipulation with more of your attention. You decline to be drafted into triangles where two people outsource their courage to a third. You do not let flattery buy what persistence should earn. You do not allow urgency to pass counterfeit bills in the form of panic. Because access is not available for sale, people stop shopping for it with theatrics. They either bring their honesty or they take their leave. Both outcomes are merciful. The room loses the talent for pretending, and energy that used to be spent on masks becomes available for meaning. Even your silence has become incorruptible. Silence used to be the stage where anxiety performed 1,000 futures. Now it is a chair where reality sits and catches its breath. You refuse to let quiet be a punishment, so quiet stops being a threat. You refuse to let pauses be traps, so pauses stop being negotiations. In that recalibration, lies run out of hiding places. They were banking on speed, on glare, on the fear that truth would be too heavy to lift. You bring slowness, you bring lamplight, you bring the practical mercy that lifts with you. The weight was exaggerated. The room discovers it can carry its part. Your humor becomes a solvent for pretense. You joke in a way that untangles knots rather than tightening them, that returns breath rather than stealing it. Sarcasm, so often the camouflage for cowards, finds itself unemployed. Wit without malice becomes the house style. Under that style, people do not need to lie to be interesting. They are permitted to be particular, to be precise, to be exactly as bright as the moment requires, and no brighter. The relief is visible in the angle of a shoulder, the recalibration of a jaw, the way eye contact stops trying to audition and starts trying to understand. There is a gentleness in the way you confront, and it terrifies falsehood because it removes its favorite defense, the right to claim it is being attacked. You say, simply and specifically, this is what happened, this is what I felt, this is what must change. You leave theater to those who need it. Theater does not survive your light. Without an audience, it becomes practice, and practice, given time, becomes skill. You are not shaming people into truth. You are starving the circus that makes lying look necessary to save face. The feminine recognizes a sanctuary in this clarity. She does not need to code her speech for fear of being punished by a man's insecurity masquerading as morality. She does not need to exaggerate softness to avoid being framed as hard. She does not need to make herself smaller to fit your comfort. Your presence does not demand stagecraft to remain interested. It demands reality, and reality is a relief when it will not be charged admission. Around you, she tells the truth in her own voice, at her own pace, with her own proportions, because your magnetism is not a maw that eats stories. It is a room that hosts them without turning them into props. The masculine, too, breathes differently. He discovers that respect can return without posture, that strength can be measured by repair rather than intimidation, that leadership can be proven by temperature control rather than headline control. He notices you apologize before the bruise darkens and chooses to do likewise. He notices you end the night while kindness still has the floor and learns to leave before glory curdles. He notices you say, "I don't know," with a tone that does not beg and begins to trade performance for precision. Lies cannot survive in men who take these trades seriously. There will be moments when truth arriving will sting. You will hear the sentence that asks you to adjust, and you will feel the heat rise. Your practice makes you waterproof to panic in these moments. You breathe, you bless the messenger, you separate shame from responsibility like a craftsman separating fibers. You repair what is yours and return what is not. People witness this and recalibrate their own courage. It becomes easier, in your orbit, to say the thing that must be said and to hear the thing that must be heard, because neither saying nor hearing threaten belonging. When you leave a room, proof of this climate remains. Exaggerations shrink on their own. They are too heavy for the air you taught the space to keep. Apologies arrive earlier. They are cheaper in the economy you modeled. Credentials stop being waved at every turn. Competence is quieter and more convincing. Even gossip finds less appetite. Mouths remember what it felt like to speak plainly without plotting. The space keeps your standard because it feels better to breathe this way. People will not thank you aloud. Their behavior will. Their sleep will. Their next day choices will. Keep the discipline that makes deception expensive. Keep water close so your patience stays solvent. Keep sleep honest so your edge stays kind. Keep movement regular so your feelings stay in motion rather than in management. Keep prayer simple so your motives stay audible to yourself. Keep boundaries smiling so your no teaches as much as your yes. Keep humor humane so relief can arrive without a victim. In that steady custody, your sexual energy will continue to be what it has become, magnetism with a conscience, and lies finding no purchase will slip away from your rooms like fog under an honest sun. Chosen one. There is a certain hush that follows you out of a doorway, the kind that does not mourn but remembers. It is not dramatic. No one clutches a chest or names it out loud, but the air keeps a small echo of your temperature, and the furniture keeps the lesson of your hands. Conversation tilts toward honesty 1 degree longer than usual. The laugh that might have grown teeth chooses instead to round itself and rest. Someone reaches for their phone and then, without scolding, sets it face down as if the table were sacred again. This is what craving looks like when it is healthy. Not a hunger that consumes, but a homing signal that invites the good to return to itself. What a room longs for after you is not spectacle. It is the standard your presence made feel possible. You did not make the evening a competition. You made it a climate. You did not audition for the crowd. You arranged the hours so that people could be relieved of pretending. You stepped in as if the threshold were a soft instrument and tuned the moment to its best key. And then you stepped out before the melody exhausted itself. The ache that remains is not for more of you as a performance. It is for more of what you allow in others. Truth that can breathe, laughter that does not invoice dignity, desire that remembers its manners and therefore keeps its heat. Notice how often the body registers this craving before language arrives. The hand that fidgets with a napkin smooths it twice, as if ironing the evening's memory into fabric. The friend who likes to win conversations glances at the empty chair and chooses a question over a punchline. The shy one who spoke once while you were there speaks again, not because the fear is gone, but because your attention, like a lantern set on a low table, taught them where the ground is. Even the way people stand changes a little, less like soldiers, more like roots. You did not lecture. You left a livable posture in the air, and bodies, being wiser than headlines, copy what makes living easier. The feminine feels the absence like a well-lit path remembered by feet. She is not counting seconds or drafting a strategy to hold you. Her nervous system is revisiting a small archive of sensations that matter. The way your gaze returned light without taking it, the way your touch asked and then listened, the way your restraint unhooked panic from her breath. She misses not attention but atmosphere. The sanctuary you bring when your sexual energy serves wisdom rather than hunger. Rooms crave your return for the same reason rivers crave their banks. Shape makes flow a gift. You make this longing safe by the way you leave. You do not wring the last laugh from a night that is already perfect. You do not linger because your ego needs an ovation. You rise while kindness still has the floor, and you close the door softly as if the house had ears. That closing is a blessing. It protects memory from surgery. It allows gratitude to keep its posture. It teaches the space to keep your manners even in your absence. The people who remain do not collapse into the old chaos. They continue the better customs you set because they felt good to practice. Craving becomes a teacher rather than a thief. Your absence adjusts clocks. Bedtimes arrive when they should, not because fatigue wins, but because mercy is on schedule. Mornings greet people who are not haunted by what was said after the hour got thin. Apologies become smaller because damage stayed small. The next invitation is written without flattery or pressure. Your magnetism is not hoarded in you. It is distributed like warmth from a hearth that plans for winter. Rooms want you back because you remind them they could have kept these ways without you. And yet, until your presence showed them, they had forgotten. Do not fear the ache you leave behind, chosen one. It is not a trap set for you or for them. It is a clean appetite for the conditions under which souls behave better. You do not weaponize it by withholding. You do not perform to satisfy it. You honor it by returning with the same integrity that created it. You cross the next threshold as you cross the last, with your weather checked, your hands clean, your pace human, your values visible in how you set a glass down and let a moment end while it is still beautiful. Craving becomes covenant when it is met by consistency. There will be rooms that try to convert longing into possession. They will attempt to keep you late, to draft your steadiness into a substitute for their discipline, to make your presence a policy rather than a possibility. You answer with the smile of a man who will not trade tomorrow to redeem tonight. You keep leaving on time so desire never becomes dependence. You keep arriving on purpose so dependence never masquerades as love. In this rhythm, the ache learns maturity. It recalls that it wanted a climate, not a performance, a standard, not a mascot. Return then as a blessing and not a fix. Let the doorway greet the same man it saw leave, unhurried, undistracted, unwilling to extract. Walk back into the space and watch how breath organizes itself at that sight. Watch how eyes adjust to your light instead of demanding more wattage. Watch how the youngest and the oldest in the room respond first because their bodies are least interested in theater. They lean, they brighten, they behave as if a friend of the house has come home and will once again remind the walls how to hold themselves. You do not need to do much. Your presence is already the instruction manual the evening wanted. Keep tending the handful of practices that make you welcome to crave. Keep your yes warm and your no clean. Keep your compliments building courage rather than dependency. Keep your humor rescuing moments rather than creating casualties. Keep your touch speaking the native language of consent. Keep your timing a steward of endings rather than a thief of them. The more faithful you are to these plain arts, the more honest the rooms will be about wanting you back. Not to idolize a man, but to remember a way of being that makes people better than their most nervous habits. This is the right kind of craving. A place missing its climate, not its spectacle. A people missing their best, not their distraction. Chosen one, disruption has a reputation for arriving with thunder. Yours arrives like water. It does not shout, it carves. Give it time and stone learns a new language. Give it a day and dust rises, then settles into a shape that refuses to go back. You enter a room and the old habits, posture, pace, the currency of attention begin to reconsider themselves without a fight. This is not sorcery. It is design. Your sexual energy has stopped advertising and started organizing. It no longer auditions for significance by setting fires. It sets temperatures and allows truth to do its work. You change the default settings of a space the way a craftsman changes a tool. From within its purpose, not against it. Noise expects to be answered by more noise. You answer with coherence. Panic expects to recruit you. You respond with a metronome. Flattery promises a shortcut. You ask for receipts in daylight. These refusals are not acts of war, they are acts of stewardship. Without an audience, the circus folds its tent. Without fuel, the bonfire downgrades to a hearth. People assume you must be managing everything. In reality, you are managing yourself, and the room imitates the governance it can see. You disrupt the economy of attention first. Where spectacle once sold tickets, you make calm more valuable. You do not pay for status with your nervous system. You do not wave credentials to win the hour. You spend presence on what is real, and because presence is rare, the market adjusts. The loud discover that precision works better than volume. The quiet discover that offering early beats, apologizing later. Ideas begin to travel at a speed that keeps their dignity. Meetings stop being theaters where fear is disguised as strategy. Tables remember how to be studios where craft can replace drama. This quiet rebellion shows up in small choreography. You angle a chair to widen a path. You hand the microphone to the voice that hesitates. You notice the person who is always cleaning up after everyone and bring them into the center while there is still music. You end the agenda where it should end and send people home while their kindness still has strength. These are not gestures of control, they are acts of mercy. In their wake, resentment has fewer places to sit and gossip finds less oxygen to burn. You did not defeat them, you replaced their habitat. Your questions are scalpels, not hammers. Why does this require speed? What would we do if we were not afraid? Where is consent in this plan? What are we willing to repair if we are wrong? Asked in your tone, steady, human, unembarrassed. Such questions do not humiliate, they clarify. Clarification is a terror to manipulation. It cannot thrive in light this plane. Projects that were leaning on charisma learn to lean on competence. Conflicts that were collecting spectators find themselves reduced to workable scale. Rage loses its glamour. Responsibility looks good again. The disruption you bring is architectural. You rearrange furniture that no longer serves the room's purpose. Boundaries become rails for movement instead of walls for exclusion. Pace becomes an ethics, not a mood. Consent becomes the layout of the house, and everything else takes its measurements from it. The feminine reads this floor plan with relief. She is not required to barter her mystery for access. She is not pressured to edit her brilliance into digestible portions to spare a fragile ego. The masculine, watching, learns it is possible to be strong without hoarding spotlight, to be tender without being taxed, to be decisive without needing a stage. Even trouble finds you inconvenient. Chaos tends to spread by conscription. You refuse enlistment. Urgency tries to draft your voice. You grant it facts, not adrenaline. Flattery tries to pick the lock on your boundary. You admire the compliments and leave the door closed. Offense wants to put your name on a petition against your own peace. You answer at human speed and deprive it of drama. These patterns die not by argument, but by starvation. You did not win a debate. You simply stopped feeding a monster. Your refusal to apply pressure does not mean you lack force. It means your force is moral, not mechanical. When a line must be drawn, you draw it with steady ink and leave room for repair to find the door. When someone tries to escalate, you do not climb the ladder, you remove it. When timing is wrong, you do not push the river, you strengthen the banks. The result is not submission, but alignment. People feel the rightness of the new arrangement in their bodies and stop fighting gravity that was trying to help them stand. Change in your orbit becomes ecological rather than theatrical. Budgets shift because waste is impolite where you've been. Calendars shift because fatigue is not fashionable near your pace. Bedtimes shift because recovery is part of excellence in your economy. Inboxes get answered before resentment grows teeth. Apologies get delivered while they are still cheap. Praise lands where labor lived. You did not issue commandments. You made decency contagious by making it livable. There are those for whom thunder is the only proof of weather. They will want you to be louder, meaner, faster, angrier, as if righteousness were measured in decibels. Let them want. You keep being seasonal instead of sensational. You keep ending nights while sweetness can still be remembered whole. You keep beginning mornings before the world auctions your attention to the highest panic. You keep letting your sexual energy animate hospitality instead of hunger. You keep translating prayer into posture. Eyes soft, shoulders open, voice at human temperature, hands without hooks. Over time, even the thunder seekers will find that their bodies prefer your forecast. It leaves them more themselves. Your disruption honors thresholds. You stop at the door and check your weather so you do not storm in. You pause at the exit so you do not yank the evening's roots. You cross from task to rest with a small ritual, a glass of water held like a cup of mercy, a breath that says we are done, a sentence that blesses what was possible and releases what was not. These acts teach time its manners. Time, learning, becomes an ally of transformation rather than an alibi for harm. Culture grows under such custody. It survives trends because trends cannot outlast care. Carry on, chosen one, with the unremarkable discipline that makes your presence revolutionary. Drink before you decide, move before you speak, rest before you rescue, repair before pride hardens, decline what dazzles and does not nourish, accept what is plain and will endure. Let your magnetism keep behaving like weather, a steady front of warmth, a reliable light, a river that refuses to flood and therefore feeds. Force is cheap, formation is priceless. The rooms you enter will learn the difference, and the lives that gather there will change without needing to name why. Chosen one, there is a language older than speech and quicker than reason, and her body reads it the moment you enter. A shoulder lowers by 1 quiet inch, the jaw loosens from its post, breath remembers its length. She is not responding to a performance, she is answering a climate. Your magnetism does not drag a net through the room, it tends a hearth. You do not demand nearness, you make nearness safe to choose. The feminine leans closer, not because she has been cornered, but because she has been welcomed without condition. Your eyes are a lantern, not a searchlight. They travel at human speed. They do not harvest, they return what they notice. A look that once sought leverage now offers witness. The difference is felt before it is understood. She does not brace for appraisal. She does not prepare to negotiate her own softness. Your gaze holds enough warmth to be kind and enough discipline to be trusted. And because you do not try to own what you adore, beauty is free to remain beautiful. This is how her posture shifts, less armor, more architecture. Your timing teaches her nervous system that consent is the grammar of your desire. You do not crowd the silence to force a decision. You do not rush beginnings past their honesty or end nights after tenderness has grown thin. A hand at the small of her back asks first, then listens for the answer in how it leaves. A no is not a verdict against you, it is a contour you respect. A yes is not a license, it is a shared pace you intend to keep. Where desire serves timing and timing serves truth, the body recognizes sanctuary and chooses to stay. You refuse the old trades that stole trust. You do not barter intensity for access, performance for presence, charm for consent. You let curiosity be a question, not a contract. You let admiration be bright without turning it into appetite. You let mystery be a right, not a test. With every refusal, your heat becomes cleaner. Heat that will not invoice her later is the rarest luxury. She leans closer because your nearness does not ask her to leave herself at the door. You do not confuse leadership with control. You guide the hour the way a steady hand guides a boat, by reading water, wind, and weight, not by tearing the sail. You keep the room at a temperature where her brilliance is not taxed, her boundaries are not penalized, her softness is not bought on credit. In a world that tried to make her choose between being vivid and being safe, you hold the proof that she can be both. Her shoulders recognize it first. The rest of her follows at the speed of trust. Your words carry the manners of your breath. They land at a temperature the heart can hold. You do not audition as savior. You do not lecture her pain into a shape you find convenient. You ask what is true, you listen until you hear it, and you honor what you heard by not making a show of understanding. This mercy does not lower standards, it raises courage. A woman who doesn't have to fight for her own reality will bring more of it into the room, and more reality is exactly what your magnetism was made to meet. You understand that boundaries are not barricades, they are design. You admire the gate because you love the garden. You do not test the fence to learn its strength. You read the sign and walk the path it permits. When she slows, you slow. When she speaks, you let the sentence finish its life. When she plays, you do not put a price on the laughter. This is not passivity. It is mastery. The mastery of a man who can hold the fire without needing to prove that he cannot be burned. Your presence does not erase the world's weather. It refuses to become another storm. On days when grief sits heavy in her lap, you do not reach for a trick to brighten the sky. You make tea, you open a window, you let the air move, and you stay. On nights when joy dances across the floor, you do not turn it into content. You clap on the offbeat, you remember the chorus, you end the song while joy is still winning. She leans closer because your touch does not turn celebration into consumption or sorrow into theater. You are not threatened by fullness. Maiden, mother, warrior, sage, whichever face she wears in the hour, you treat it as legitimate. You do not shrink in the presence of power or inflate in the presence of vulnerability. You remain proportioned to your own truth, and proportion is magnetic. The feminine leans toward what will not force her to be smaller to be loved or louder to be heard. Your steadiness offers both, the invitation to expand and the confidence to rest. Keep your covenant with the habits that make this leaning possible. Drink water before opinion, breathe before reply, sleep before rescue, repair before pride hardens. Speak compliments that build courage rather than dependence. Hold silence that shelters, not silence that punishes. Let your sexual energy remain a current with banks, strong enough to carry, clear enough to see, deep enough to respect. The more faithfully you keep these simple arts, the more surely she will choose what she has already begun to recognize, a man whose nearness returns her to herself. Chosen one, there is a moment when influence stops being an event and becomes a climate. That moment has arrived. You are no longer simply memorable. You are measurable. People will compare rooms by whether they behave like the ones you leave behind. They will compare presences by whether they keep the temperature you keep. They will not say your name each time. They will start sentences with, "It felt right," and that will be the proof. You have become the standard, not because you demanded it, but because you made decency easier than its alternatives. A standard is not a slogan. It is the quiet sum of repeatable things. The way you check your weather at the threshold so you do not storm indoors. The way you set a glass down as if the table could feel. The way your yes arrives paid in full and your no arrives without cruelty. The way you end an hour while kindness still has the floor. The way your attention refuses to be rented by panic. You practiced these until they were muscle, and muscle has memory. Now rooms recall your posture after you go and hold themselves accordingly. Others will recalibrate to this measure without a meeting about it. The teammate who once waited to be rescued brings their work early because you made on time feel like respect, not obedience. The friend who performed instead of speaking plainly risks the short sentence and discovers it lands. The child who watched you apologize before the bruise darkened learns to repair, while repair is still cheap. The elder who felt the world racing around them meets your gaze and remembers that dignity sets the pace. Culture is being written in side effects, fewer sharp words, more accurate ones, fewer rushed endings, more rightful ones. Your sexual energy sits at the center of this standard like a heart that has learned its purpose. It no longer auditions, it animates. It translates heat into hospitality, proximity into permission, attraction into atmosphere. Around you, consent is assumed, boundaries are legible, laughter is generous, and desire keeps its manners without losing its music. People begin to measure intimacy not by intensity alone, but by whether they feel more themselves afterward. That is your signature, magnetism that multiplies identity rather than consuming it. The standard you carry changes economics. Attention becomes expensive again and therefore used with care. Apology becomes inexpensive and therefore offered soon. Sleep moves from vanity to infrastructure. Water moves from afterthought to sacrament. You will see it in calendars that end before resentment grows teeth, in budgets that stop purchasing spectacle, in inboxes answered at a pace that keeps relationships human. You did not issue decrees. You made wisdom comfortable to live with, and comfort is a powerful evangelist. Beware the counterfeits that a standard attracts. Some will try to turn your way into a brand, polishing your quiet until it reflects nothing. Others will try to police with your name what they have not practiced with their bodies. Decline both. Standards are not enforced, they are kept. They are not for display, they are for use. When asked how you do it, you return to the ordinary. Water before opinion, breath before reply, truth before theater. repair before reputation. You do not mystify what is simple just because it is difficult. You simply do it again. As the measure rises, so will the temptation to become a measuring stick. Resist it. You are not a judge, you are a steward. You set conditions under which people can exceed you without needing to overthrow you. You applaud quietly when they do. The real triumph of a standard is not the number of imitators, it is the number of rooms that no longer require your presence to remain kind. You will know you have succeeded when you are free to leave and free to return. And the air stays good either way.